And welcome in, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between to another episode of the High Low Sports Podcast. It is a pleasure to have you join us this Wednesday evening, or if it happens to be one of your favorite places to check out podcasts later on in the week. Regardless, we are happy to have you join us today as we get ready to talk about what's going on in the wide world of sports, WWS. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey, as we are rounding out the month of October. We are closing in on Halloween weekend. Still got one more week left until that, but right now there will be nothing spooky about what's going on in this busy week.
Yeah, no, it's hey, I don't know about spooky, but exciting. NBA tip-off, MLB World Series, MLS playoffs for soccer fans, always fun. NFL continues to hit its stride, and yeah, college football is in the exciting part. We got like 5 regular season games left, if that.
Our rivalry weeks are basically a month away, but once it all gets serious, like it's getting really close. Like the bowl games, the animosity, the dead trees, they are right around the corner. So it's getting real serious.
We don't comment on the dead trees situation. All right, Harvey Updike served his time.
I'm just saying it does happen during that week. It doesn't happen in September. It doesn't happen in October. But come late November, that's when it gets dangerous.
Thanksgiving hits. You know what's coming next. It's not Black Friday.
I was gonna say a big ass nap after all that turkey, but then the wars come. But we got a whole lot to get into and a whole lot more. But before we go off on a tangent about food, let's go ahead and get into our first part of the show, and that is of course the tip off. The tip off brought to you by our good friends over at SeatGeek. Use code BellyUpSports for $20 off your first purchase. Comedy shows, sporting events, concerts, anything that requires tickets. Use code BellyUpSports on your first purchase for $20 off. And we're gonna go ahead and start where the games mean a little bit more than everywhere else. We got the World Series as the Blue Jays are taking on the Dodgers this Friday from the time of the recording. We do see the Dodgers 93 and 69 taking on the Toronto Blue Jays with home field advantage 94 and 68. So America's pastime starting off in the 51st state with currently the Dodgers favored by the matchup predictor about 58% to 41%. You can kind of definitely see right here out of the gate. Blake Snell will be the starter for the Los Angeles Dodgers, 3-0 in the postseason with 0.86 ERA. Doesn't get a whole lot much better than that. We don't know who will be the pitcher for the Blue Jays, but Kelsey, as we look at this one, I think the main question that comes to a lot of our minds and our minds, a lot as many anyone else's, how did the Blue Jays possibly get this done? Considering 99% of baseball fandoms are rooting against the Dodgers, they just won't admit it. Outside of that small section of Southern California, everyone else feels to be like they're rooting for the Blue Jays or not watching. But how do they get it done?
Swing the bat. I mean, it sounds simple, right? Like swinging the bat seems like the best way you can do this, but that's what the Blue Jays do best. They swing the bat. They do not walk up to the plate and expect to take 2 or 3 strikes, 2 or 3 pitches. They step up to the plate and try to hit first pitch. Think George Springer, what he just did in Game 7 as a perfect example. He stepped up to the plate after getting dinged the game before, steps up to the plate, and in a crucial situation, hits a 3-run home run. Like, dude that's been quote unquote washed for 2 years now, 3 years. I just want to point out he was in an article for ESPN when he got drafted by the Astros as to the reason why the Astros would win a World Series by 2024. I just want to throw that out there. So now he's trying to win a World Series with a second team since the Astros. So yeah, but no, I like what the Blue Jays can do offensively, but you have to go up against a pitching staff that is an all-star pitching staff in its own right. You have to go against Blake Snell in Game 1. 3-0 in the playoffs, under 1 ERA. That's not easy. By the way, you also have to face Shohei at some point in time in this series, who is MVP quality back to maybe even better than he was before pitching-wise. And, well, you got to face him at the plate. So, really, you have to hit first. If you're the Blue Jays, you have to be the team that gets up on the board first. If you fall behind, it is going to be an uphill battle. And you're going to take a lot of shots. So it's going to be a tough one, but I mean, anything's possible when you get to the World Series.
I think one thing they have to do too is they have to find a way to control the pitch count too. I think their starting pitchers can't get in these long, drawn out situations that end up being like 9 pitch at bats and then someone gets on base regardless. They got to find a way to, someone's going to get a hit, they get their hit early, then you maybe get the next one to pop out or ground into a double play, et cetera. You can't have these long, drawn out ones where you just ramp up the pitch count on your starting pitcher. Then by the 6th inning, they have 350 pitches. And then as it gets into the nitty gritty, you have to hit the bullpen early or his arm goes out and he throws a 30-mile-an-hour fastball that gets cranked into the 35th row. So I think they got to find a way to get the most value out of their pitches, which just like swinging the bat, it seems so simple, but sometimes it can be so hard against such a prolific lineup like the Dodgers because you're thinking ahead, you're thinking behind. It's not just one pitch at a time like you would like it to be.
Yeah, and look, neither one of these ballparks is a really hitter-friendly or pitcher-friendly park. They're kinda right in the middle.
Mhm.
So, it's not like you have to worry about a bloop pop fly going out of the ballpark. It's also not like you have to worry about a ball you hit solidly falling short unless you're in Chavez Ravine in the summer and it gets that drafty, like, warm, damp weather. That's not the case you're gonna be facing here when you go to Dodger Stadium. So, it's a situation where you're gonna have a fair ballpark one way or the other, and you don't have to be as concerned about that potential coming into play. Which also means when you look at it, like you said, maybe pitch to contact. Don't pitch to a sweet spot, but pitch to a contact. We all played MLB, the show, or any other baseball video game that has little blue squares. Pitch to the blue squares. Don't pitch in the red. And some of these guys might be getting close, getting dusted off the plate because they like to hug the plate. But hey, so be it. It's a World Series. You got to go up and win a ring. I don't want to see a game that was like, all right, well, we're pitching it to the outside half of the plate because we have to. And now there's 3 home runs in the first 3 innings. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see actually quality gameplay. I want to see an actual team win this World Series who is up there to play the game the right way and not just try to hit home runs, which both these teams can play the game the right way. They can also hit a whole lot of home runs if they want to. But it's one of those things. Like I do think pitching in contact is a great option, especially for the Blue Jays. But you got to be careful with that because even a bad pitch to most hitters is a good pitch to somebody like Shohei with the way he's playing.
Absolutely. And so what might be a bad pitch for another pitcher might be a good pitch for Shohei, the way he throws it. Like he breaks a lot of the rules when you're just that good. But we're now at the point. Do they get it done, Kelsey? What is your official World Series prediction? Roughly we don't even know the starting pitcher for week 1, so we're definitely going all out on the limb here. But who do you think wins it and how many games?
Well, we'll even if it goes 7, we will still know the chance. Like we will still know a World Series winner in 2 weeks, which is the crazy part for the way the World Series works. But yeah, I'm going 5 games and I'm going Dodgers, and it hurts me to my soul to admit that. But I just have I don't know if there's any other choice other than the Dodgers, in my opinion. It's one of those things that this team is so good still.
I think that I don't feel like the Blue Jays match up as well with the Dodgers. I think them and the Mariners would have just been a more interesting matchup series wise. I think I still think the Dodgers are winning regardless. I'm gonna go 6, but I think it's when they win, I think they're gonna win comfortably. If that makes sense. Like those 4 games, there will be very little doubt, and then the 2 will be kind of close. The Blue Jays just make a play here. There, I think when they need to win, they're gonna win comfortably. I kind of agree with you. It's a tall task, and the matchup is hard. Very few teams can actually match up with them, and I don't know if the Blue Jays can fully match up across the board, but I think they can make it interesting. In those games, they do win. I'm just worried their losses will be lopsided, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a concern. Like if they can stay in the games, I'm a lot less concerned about the Blue Jays. But the moment it's a 5-piece on the board, I just like coming back is the hardest part when you're facing the Dodgers because when you step up to the plate, you're going to be more aggressive, which also feeds into their pitching staff, and then you're also more prone to make errors because you're trying to make the perfect play defensively. It's a lot of mental game in this, and I think that's what's going to kind of, I hate to say defeat the Blue Jays here, but they're a young team, and outside of George Springer, they don't have a whole lot of World Series experience.
And they got a
Whereas
whole
the
lot of
Dodgers,
Guardians, too, which is not known for World Series appearances in recent modern times either. So it just add on to your point.
maybe that's the reason the Blue Jays win is they got to get the Guardians players, former Guardians players, some rings. I guess is the way this works.
That's how it comes full circle. But be sure to let us know down in the comments who you all think is going to win and how many games as well. Is anyone else taking the Blue Jays, or are they all on the Dodgers like the rest of us as well? Be sure to let us know down below. But from championship hardware to individual hardware, we're going to now transition from America's pastime to probably America's favorite sport. Currently, we're going to talk football and go to the NFL, and it's that time of week again. We're doing a little bit early this week. We're talking NFL MVP, and we are continuing to climb up the ladder now after week 7. We've had a lot of shakeup on DJ's NFL MVP ladder, but we're going to go get right to it. Taking in the number 3 spot, we still do have the Bake Show make in his spot. A rough one on Monday. Not on Monday against the Lions. That one did pull him down just a little bit. I do think they're still going to be fine. He's still going to be in the conversation. I think part of what had him cooking so much was what he was doing and winning those games. So then a loss like that will drop him. That's not even entirely his fault because the other 2 guys I think have been very, very good, but Baker still in the running even after a rough game. But number 2, Jonathan Taylor. We have a non-quarterback climbing up the list. Leads the NFL in touchdowns with 10 total touchdowns. Leads the league in rushing. Leads the league in rushing per game. I think 3rd in total scrimmage yards, which would include rushing and receiving, which is hard to do when CMC Well, we see the workload he gets. There is nobody else on that one, so good luck matching that one. But and he's the catalyst on a historic pace offense right now that literally is averaging more points per drive than the 2007 Patriots. That he is the leading catalyst behind it. 6-1, the best record in the NFL at this point. He's kind of been dwindling in that third, just on the outside looking in, but now that they have established the number one record and he continues, he has 3 hat tricks this season already. Like, that's absolutely asinine to have 3 hat tricks already. It's more touchdowns than the Jets and the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken, on the season by himself. It's been an absolutely sensational performance. Similar to his MVP/off. We already know it's a quarterback award, so by the end of the season, it will be Offensive Player of the Year. But for DJ's MVP ladder, we show love to not just quarterbacks. That being said, though, making his first appearance on the NFL MVP ladder on the season, now that they're finally above 500, the stats and the record could somewhat coincide. Patrick Mahomes is taking the top spot, leading the NFL in total touchdowns, passing up there in passing yards. He's been up there in all the major passing categories for the last handful of weeks and on the season. I just couldn't in good conscience put a team with a 500 or less record on here. But now that they have officially hit 4-3, Patrick Mahomes could take his spot at the top of the MVP mountain. I don't know if how much longer it will last, or maybe he's just not going to move for the rest of the season. But as of right now, 14 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns, 1,800 yards, 66% completion, 102 rating on the season. Been getting better with each passing week. 6 touchdowns, 0 picks in the last 2 games, and over 73% completion in both of them. Getting hot at the right time. So Patrick Mahomes taking the top spot right now for the seem to be resurgent Chiefs, and with Jonathan Taylor and the leading Colts at number 2, and Bake Show at number 3, because he has well earned this right even after a rough week. You can't kick him off the ladder at this point.
I respect it. I again, yeah, until proven otherwise, I think Patty is going to be the guy for now. But Jonathan Taylor, man, I got to tell you, my fantasy team loves him. So what's going to hurt Baker is obviously Mike Evans being out with an injury. I think he still has. I mean, if he could, let's be honest, if he can keep this up without Mike Evans, I think he should be an MVP candidate.
Absolutely, he's done nothing besides not be super awesome for 1 week. It's coming off a hat trick and a 3 touchdown in 2 quarters before. Like, what the guys above him did really propelled them here, but some of the guys on the outside looking at Dak is right there too. Honestly, they're the same thing with Patrick. If I could just get him above 500 safely, like 3-3-1, I'm sorry, it's right there. He's been awesome. He's right in the thick of it. Matthew Stafford, a 5 touchdown performance. If this went to 5 players, he's definitely on that list. Drake May is in there in the conversation as well. But Daniel Jones, if you want to throw 2 of them on there, CMC's right in the thick of it, considering it, putting that team on his back and somehow being the only player not injured, just defying his entire history at this point to stay out on the field and siphoning the life force from the entire team to stay healthy. Like, there's a lot of guys that could make this list. It's hard to narrow it down to 3 at this point.
Yeah, no, but I like this 3. I mean, I'm fine with this for now. Obviously, we still got a whole lot of football to play. So for those that get in the comments and get angry, you know what? Let's see you do better.
Sneaky one not far from those 2. JSN's made a really strong case to be in this conversation. What he's done as a receiver this year. If it goes to a non-quarterback, if there's one possibly in the mix, JSN and JT could be leading the way, and Puka if he gets healthy enough. But everyone drop down below. What's your MVP ladders? Who you like, who you'd move around, what you don't like, just drop it all down below. But we're going to go now from the NFL. We're now going to head to the college ranks as we are starting to see closing in on the first ever playoff ranking, as that is November 4th, I believe, is when that will be released. Right now, though, the top 25 has been shaken up a little bit, so we're going to take a quick little gander here. We're going to focus a little bit here early on, but if we look at the top 3, I think you and I were just talking about it. The top 3, I think you and I are pretty comfortable with. Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, Texas A&M at 3. You could flop Indiana and A&M if you'd like, but I kind of like how it is. Surprised to see Indiana getting 6 first-place votes, honestly. Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Miami, and Vanderbilt. Rounding out the top 10 with undefeated BYU sitting at number 11, and Notre Dame on their 5-game win streak, still somehow at number 12, Oklahoma at 13, Texas Tech at 14 after their loss, and Missouri at 15. But we won't go too much deeper into that because, Kelsey, you got some beef with this one. We can tell you that you got some beef with what we're seeing right now.
I mean, look, the fact that the top 9 for both sides, for both coaches poll and for the AP poll, are the same, it bothers me. But the reason why it bothers me is because, as we know, the coaches poll is god awful consistently. So the fact the AP is there as well, I don't love it. Georgia Tech, number 1 in the ACC right now, 7-0. I'm gonna say they should be higher than a lot of these one-loss teams, and that's just by nature of what a poll is. You got to give the undefeated their nod. BYU, on the other hand, Big 12, number one. I don't love it, but they've done their job, and they should be higher than 10 or 11.
They're being flagged because of that quarterback wearing number 47. If he wore a normal quarterback number, they're number 4. They're being punished, and they deserve it.
I think I went on a rampage on Saturday watching the BYU Utah game and seeing that quarterback number, and I just complained in our podcast and chill chat for the entirety of the game because it's just such an egregious number. I don't blame them for that reason, which is why I don't love them being higher, but at the same time, I think they do deserve it because Big 12, it's a Power 5. You got to give credence to the Power 5. If you made the Power 5, you got to give credence to that. So I'll say that. Those two should probably be higher. And that's just by the nature of the business. But I look at Miami and I look at Ole Miss as two teams who, while they've been good, they haven't been great. They've not really stood out to me beyond just being a good team. Vanderbilt, on the other hand, I know they have a lot coming up that they could get knocked out with, but that team has proven themselves to be legit right now. The fact they were 5-1 and ranked 17th in the AP was an egregious offense, and now 6-1, they're in the top 10, yes, but they should still be higher. I'm not going to say they should be a top 5 team, but I would like to see them where Georgia Tech is. If you're going to move Georgia Tech up, it makes sense to have them in that top 7 range because right now, if you look at it, they have the odds on outside of beyond after Alabama. They're the next best team in the SEC based on record, purely based on record and head-to-head. So it's hard to give them a look and you're like, why is this here? And then the last one, and this is just like, why are they up here? 2-loss Notre Dame, get out of here. Get out of here with that. Why are they our top 15 team? This is just absolute garbage. Stop trying to get Notre Dame to be a thing right now when they suck. Like, you dropped LSU that far. You got to drop Notre Dame that far. So right now you're holding on to Notre Dame because they lost to Miami, and that doesn't make it better. It doesn't make what happened in that game better. Yes, they are getting better, but they are not a team that should be ahead of likes of Texas Tech or Mizzou or even Tennessee for that matter, or even South Florida, who, by the way, is the best non-Power 5 team. And like, I don't know. There's a lot of offenses, but the biggest one to me is Notre Dame is just, that's egregious. Absolutely egregious. Get him out of here. Other than that, I can live with everything else so far.
I kind of like the top 4, honestly. I know we agreed like top 3, but I don't mind Alabama at 4, considering that they're second in the SEC and they've won 6 in a row. Like what you were doing currently, as you mentioned, kind of plays a part in it. Like that week 1 loss to Florida State is starting to look like a preseason game at this point with what's happened. Georgia being all the way at number 5, I get it. It's Georgia. I think I prefer Georgia Tech in that spot personally. I like them at 5, if not 4. Then maybe Georgia right after them. Then you get Oregon. Then, of course, you move up BYU and Vanderbilt. And I feel like Ole Miss should be 9, maybe 10. Miami should be maybe 11, something like that. I feel like just everything after 4, I think you could just like Lincoln Logs it a little bit just to balance it out. And as you mentioned, South Florida kicked them up a little bit. I know why Texas Tech dropped all the way to 14. You can't lose to an unranked Arizona State team even without your starting quarterback. But the way that some of these teams drop such more like 7-spot drop by comparison, Ole Miss dropped 3. Granted, theirs was so close. I get it. Miami dropping 7, you can argue it's not enough. But Louisville coming up from unranked to here, there's some very interesting ways of going about it. But I agree with you as far as Georgia Tech needs to be higher. Vanderbilt, I think, should be higher than Ole Miss and Miami at this point. Oregon, Georgia, I get they're going to be other top 10 teams. I just think there might be a touch high. I think you could drop them just a touch. And that's just for this week. Like we said, it changes every week. Like you really want Oregon and Georgia up there, they'll probably be right back up there. But I think giving credence to a team that is currently undefeated, and I don't know, I think there could just be a little bit of tweaking. And it's going to change. It's going to change a lot coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to change. And like I said, it's the college football playoff rankings have proven when they come out, they're going to blow somebody's mind somehow because they are never consistent, which is the human nature of it, which I guess I can live with because I complained about the BCS, but at least the BCS had like logic behind it. Right now, it seems to be, they're the prettiest horse in the pasture. Like, let's maybe not do that. Let's not put lipstick on a pig and call it a horse. But that's what seems like the college football playoff likes to do. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can come on the show and they can prove us wrong, but I doubt it. Yeah, I don't hate this at all. Like, I can live with this for now. It's not deciding anybody, do or die. As I really don't care because Auburn's not even going to be sniffing like a bowl game at this point in time. So
the last thing I'll point out that's interesting is that number 2 spot is really interesting right now because Indiana, we looked at their schedule like, oh, Oregon and Penn State coming up. Those could be, well, they took care of Oregon and Penn State's not looking like a problem anymore. So the rest of their schedule, you're seeing UCLA, interesting game. Yeah, it won't rule them out. Maryland, a game they should win. Wisconsin, a game they should win. Purdue, games they should win. Now Penn State, a game they should win. The schedule's a lot more Indiana favored, and Texas A&M. They got some. You got LSU next, and then Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, Texas. You come off LSU and Missouri, 2 ranked teams back-to-back with wins. Maybe they take that 2 spot just for recency bias memory because you add more ranked wins to the clubhouse. Well, Indiana's not to their fault. They had the multiple hard games on their schedule, but one of them fell off the cliff and they beat the other one. Then the rest is surrounded by the cupcakes. So I think a little bit of up and down swindling. I think we could see between 2 and 3, assuming neither one of them stumbles, at least until championship week. Then Indiana, Ohio State, they'll settle themselves. A&M versus Alabama, Georgia, however that plays out. And granted, it's the college football. They could very easily stumble on their own well before that.
Look, and let's not kid ourselves right now. Georgia Tech could upset Georgia. Let's not forget they play each other despite being in other conferences. They do play each other this season. So
8 overtimes, I think it was last year. It was what it was too. Like even it gets very, very interesting.
They play in Atlanta on November 28th. So look, that game could decide a potential top 4 berth. Which, if you consider that, that's first of all, if you're Georgia Tech, shocking in most cases, but maybe not right now, considering how good they are. And if you're Georgia, why are you going to your last week against Georgia Tech worried about whether you're going to be a top 4 team? It could be very interesting. So yeah, just don't keep that out of, because everybody else has great matchups coming up as well. Vandy, Miami does. They might end up facing Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. But yeah, there's a lot of questions that could shake themselves out in 3 weeks.
I'm just saying Georgia has a lot of other things to worry about too, considering they called a timeout but didn't call a timeout already this year. As well as they
Why are we doing this today?
No, I'm complaining. And then they should have lost to Tosh.0 and Ole Miss just a week ago. They kind of slipped out of that one. Like they got a lot to worry about. If there's like, why are we in this position for top 4? You should be. We better ensure we make our playoffs box. They're a skip and a rock skip and a hand motion away from being a 2-loss team realistically.
Hey, look, man, if I knew that I could clap by just doing this number, if I knew that made a clapping noise, I'd have been doing that my entire life playing sports.
That's what Kevin Durant was doing.
Timeout.
That's
like, I'm calling a timeout. They're like, no, I'm not calling a timeout. And they're like, well, we'll give you a timeout anyways, but we're not going to charge you for it. It's like, I could have made billions of dollars coaching too.
Sign me up if that's the case. Like, I'll turn somebody's program around. I'll turn basketball around too. Kevin Durant was just clapping at the end of that Thunder overtime. He wasn't trying to call a timeout and shouldn't have lost it for him. That was him clapping. So at least there's some consistency across sports, I guess. But go and drop down below who you all think is good.
That's how you get $102 million buyout in your contract, is you're able to convince people that you were clapping while calling a timeout.
I went into the wrong profession, and it is. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. This was the calling. I just needed to revolutionize the clap, is what it needed to be. But yeah, we've heard a little bit about what our thoughts are on the rankings, but now we got to talk a little bit about awards, and we're going to Kelsey's Heisman hierarchy returning back for this weekend. As you would imagine, there are some new names, some familiar names in some different places.
Yeah, there's a top 3 for sure, but there's honestly some 4th and 5th that I could easily throw up here. Honorable mention before I get into it, Diego Pavia could make himself a Heisman Trophy candidate in the next 2 weeks, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, getting right into it, number 3, we're going to start with Texas A&M's Marcel Reed. I've had him on this list, I think, almost all season, if not all season. The only reason he's not higher right now is because the other 2 guys ahead of him have kind of cemented themselves so far. But so far, 1,700 yards, all total yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for the guy. 35th in the nation in QBR, which honestly I could care less when the guy is making plays to get his team W's. And at the end of the day, the Heisman is the best player on the field. Look, Lamar Jackson won a Heisman, and that Louisville team didn't go undefeated, but they were really good, and he was really exciting. Marcel Reed is really good and really exciting to watch. So I'm going to have him up here for now. Argue with a tree. I don't care. But Marcel Reed deserves this for right now. Could be proven wrong, though. I will say that. I've been proven wrong before. I will say that again. But yeah, so far he's my number 3. Now, number 2, Yeah, Fernando Mendoza leads top 3 in the nation, top 5 in the nation in touchdown passes, 2 interceptions to go with 21 touchdowns, 1,700 yards himself, 1,755 to 1,770 for Marcel Reed. QBR 87.6 QBR, which is best for 5th in the nation, so stepping up a little bit there. Also has the number 2 team in the nation, and then number 1, Ty Simpson, rattling off 6 wins, doing what he's doing. 1 interception on the season, which has been the most impressive part of what Ty Simpson's doing because he's been lights out. 18 touchdowns to 1 interception ratio. Anybody would kill for that. I imagine if Brett Favre had that touchdown interception ratio, he would be a much more talked about quarterback for the positive reasons, but he didn't. And 1,900 yards for Ty Simpson, proving that he is that good. It hurts me. I've said the Dodgers are going to win the World Series, and now I'm saying an Alabama player is leading the Heisman Trophy candidacy. It's like, this is not my show to do this, but here we are. This is pick on Kelsey day today, I guess. But no, Ty Simpson, well deserving so far. Everything he's doing, and he's got to prove it the rest of the way. Obviously, this is not like set in stone, but yeah, he's got to prove it for the rest of the season. Fernando Mendoza, same thing. They have a lot of prove it matchups coming up with Marcel Reed. One stumble and Diego Pavia is ready. There's Julian Sayin out there as well still. So there are guys that are ready to step into this Heisman candidacy, but for the top 3, probably going to be in New York. So far, it's these 3 for me.
Can't really go wrong with either of them. You can also throw in Jeremiah Smith. There's a lot of guys kind of on the outside. There's probably 10 guys trying to fit into 3 spots right now. Nobody's fully taken over, and it does rotate week to week, day by day. Even Dante Moore coming off the loss isn't that far behind either, and he was at the staple at the top for the majority of this too. There's a lot of guys in that cluster, but I agree with you right now. It's hard to not have Ty Simpson at the top. But we see that Vanderbilt is suddenly a wagon, and he had a good game against that wagon. That was his 1 interception on the season, I believe, was against them. He's been cooking through a lot of the season. Mendoza, we already know, and Marcel Reed's just really good. That A&M team is just weirdly good. They got 5 running backs that could tote the rock. They got an Elko defense, and Marcel Reed's just a gamer at quarterback. I agree with this list.
Yeah, 5 running backs that can tote the ball, and then Marcel Reed. I think that's the important part here is he is a true dual threat where I'd actually pull up his all-purpose yards because it was man, this dude is a stud. And I think that's the most impressive part of him. Fernando Mendoza is a pocket passer. He is what he is. Ty Simpson can get you a first down, but he is a pocket passer, truly. He's not going to be sprinting like Marcel Reed for 55 yards or something. He can.
There's a problem with that defense. They didn't get that far.
There's some blown coverages. That's the case. But yeah, this is my Heisman hierarchy. Let me know what you guys think. Who did I miss? Did I forget Carson Beck yet again? Or did everybody finally see what I've been talking about for 2 seasons now?
They just need you to put him in the Heisman hierarchy for him to play himself out of the Heisman hierarchy.
Yeah. I guess just had to show everybody hey, I'll admit I was wrong so far. He was great for 3 weeks. Now he's not.
We'll see if they can bounce back because they have a Georgia Tech in the ACC to deal with. It's not a cakewalk in the ACC anymore. So there's some work to do. But be sure to let us know down below what your Heisman hierarchy is. But that's going to wrap it up here for the tip-off, which is going to take us into the main event. And for the main event of our show, it's only fitting that we head over to the hardwood, and the NBA season is officially back. We had opening tip-off yesterday. A lot more of the games tipping off right now as we are recording, a full slate going on. Well, we're going to focus on those because we did our predictions last week. Be sure to go check those out as well. Go from our last week's episode, see who we have going to the NBA Finals, who we have winning it, who's getting some hardware. Today, we're going to focus on something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the 3 players that we are most excited to watch. That doesn't mean they have to be good. Doesn't mean they have to be bad. Doesn't mean they have to be on good teams. Doesn't mean they have to be on bad teams. Or doesn't even have to be the best player on the team. We're just talking about guys we are excited to watch. So I'll go and give my 3 really quickly, and everything I just said does not count for this first one because it fits all those molds. I'm excited to see Giannis Antetokounmpo on this new team in what I believe is going to be a different role. I think he's going to be 2018 LeBron on this team, basically. They're like, Giannis, go save us. Just do everything, even more so than you were before. There's not going to be a Dame or a Chris Middleton. There's not be a true ball handler. I know they got some shooters. They got some guys, but it's not the same. There's no Drew Holiday back there. It's him and Miles Turner go be our new Brooke Lopez, who's a little bit younger and more athletic. Everything else is going to be Giannis. We need you to drag us to the promised land in a very, very weak Eastern Conference. Well, maybe not weak, but very, very injured Eastern Conference. That is for sure. Even the Cavs are missing Garland already. There are players missing across the board. We already know about all the Achilles injury triplets as well. That there's the Knicks, and we'll see it because they're banged up too right now. I'm excited to see Giannis and what he's going to do this season. If he can stay healthy, is he going to 2018 LeBron it? And by sheer force multiplier will drag this team to a 4th or 5th seed and maybe win a playoff series or two just by pure Giannisisms that can't be denied? Or does he end up being traded because he's a freak of nature, pun intended, and the Bucks are terrible? Like, that's what I'm really curious to see how those play out. So I'm excited to see Giannis play. Next up, we're going to go to a team that I had doing very, very well in the San Antonio Spurs, but we're talking De'Aaron Fox. I am ecstatic to see him as the co-pilot with Wembanyama, maybe even the lead, maybe even the bus driver while Wembanyama is still a young player. Maybe it takes him a minute to get going. Maybe, I don't want to say sophomore-ish slump, but like co-rookie-ish slump, considering his year was cut short last year. Maybe it takes him a minute to get back going, but De'Aaron Fox is absolutely dynamic. He's so explosive, and I think in that pick and roll game, he's going to be so awesome with him and Wemby. Even if Wemby can't quite get going, even in Sacramento when he had good players like Sabonis and even when he had Halliburton for a short time, nothing quite like Wemby as far as freakishness to run that pick and roll game with. And to see him get going and just the backdoor cuts he's going to have with his speed, I'm excited to see De'Aaron Fox. And then last but not least, this is kind of the weird one. I'm kind of excited to see DeAndre Ayton playing with skinny Luka in LA. I know Hennessy is out for a little bit, and it sounds like vibes aren't really good there from all the reports. Granted, take it all with a pound of salt because it sounds like
vibes for him preseason never exist.
Exactly, and then vibes are with LeBron and the team. Maybe he's looking to get traded. I don't know. It's a weird situation there, but regardless of all that, Luka and DeAndre in that pick and roll game, what does Luka do as well as anybody in recent memory? Flick the lob when they come up on him or step back three. What does DeAndre do really well? Be 7'2". So he can easily get that. He can catch those lobs very easily. Did a lot of it with CP3 in Phoenix. He can shoot that mid-range game pretty well. Even when he's been quote-unquote bad the last few years, he's given you 16 and 10, 16 and 11. So in this, I think if he could provide that with skinny Luka and some of the role players they have, and if Hennessy gets back, I think they could be a very dynamic squad for sure. I'm also just curious to see if maybe they run a little bit of the offense through him in some cases. I know JJ Redick has been a fan of his before. So maybe they let him use some of that post game that they really like, that a lot of teams liked coming out of college. So I'm really curious to see how he plays. And there's a lot of questions about his quote unquote motivation and commitment and all that weird stuff, putting in quotes, because you take all this with a pound of salt because no one can really see what's going on in his head. And I doubt he said out loud, I don't give a ish. But I'm curious to see if maybe being on a team like this, playing with a player like Luka and not just that skinny Luka nonetheless, maybe kicks him into a different gear and we see the best version of DeAndre. He might. Maybe he averages like 20 and 12 just because he's able to catch all those lobs too. Because Luka has a ton of gravity. Everything focuses on him and locks in, especially without LeBron in there. So I think that's going to open up even more for DeAndre Ayton. The paint's going to be even more open because now he's got shooters on shooters on shooters around him. So I'm really excited to see how DeAndre Ayton fits in with skinny Luka and the JJ Redick offense. It's the underrated one, but I think it's going to be fun as a basketball nerds one. It's not going to sell a lot of tickets on its own, most likely. It's not going to be box office, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good list. I mean, obviously, De'Aaron Fox holds a near and dear place in my heart. Him as the bonus pick and roll was fantastic to watch.
Sometimes it's the opposite way, is him setting the picks for the bonus.
So yeah, obviously that's one I love. I am also very intrigued to see DeAndre Ayton. So much so that if I'm just going to jump into my list here, I want to see the reverse side of the pick and roll you were just talking about with Luka. I want to see skinny Luka. I want to see in LA running the show because, like you said, LeBron's not there. At least not right now. We know LeBron comes back. He's captain. But he's not going to be on the floor every minute anymore. He's not that guy anymore. So it's going to be up to Luka to carry the load for this Lakers team, which I think he can do. But I think he needs somebody like DeAndre Ayton. I think he needs Rui to step up. I think there's more pieces that need to fit around Luka, and how he meshes with them is going to be really telling. I am excited to see what he can do. But I am nervous about that as well. But yeah, he's my number one, big player, I guess you should say, to watch. So yeah, my number two is a guy that's kind of up and coming right now, and that's Cade Cunningham. I loved watching Cade Cunningham since he was in Oklahoma State, and I'm more excited to see what he's going to do now. He's had one really impressive year last year with Detroit, and can he build on that? He's going to be going up against a Cleveland team 8 times this year that he has to match up with. It's not really 8 times, but it feels like it could be. And they got to play, there's a 2-hour difference, like 2-hour distance between the two of them. They're going to be playing, they're competitive. They're going to match up in the Eastern Conference if they keep going the way they do. And it's going to be a do or die for them. Like whether Detroit can beat Cleveland 38% of the time that's going to matter for getting into the playoffs because Cleveland set the standard in the East right now. After Cleveland, who's next? And right now, for me, Detroit is an exciting piece because of what's going on with Boston and because of the new look magic I don't know about yet. So yeah, for me, I look at Cade and I'm excited to see what he can do. And he's an upcoming star, not a superstar, but he's an upcoming star in the league. And I think that's worth talking about because look, there's only like 3 superstars. Let's not get carried away here. We've talked about this before. There's like 10 stars you can say in the league, but like then there's a next level where there's like 3 superstars. Those are the guys. He's obviously shooting for that, but right now he's an upcoming star, not fully a star yet. He could place himself there. So yeah, give me Cade Cunningham as my second exciting one to watch. And third, Boston. Somebody's got to lead the way there. I'm excited to see what Jaylen Brown can do. I think he needs to have a great season to be around in Boston for a long time. Say what you will about the contract and what it means. Doesn't mean anything. He doesn't pan out this year by himself. It means you can't trust him going forward to be a solo player. That makes you question what happens when Jason Tatum comes back. Can Jaylen still carry the show? Because everybody's seen it when you come back for a torn Achilles. What happens? You're not as great. So it's going to be up to Jaylen to carry the load for now. It's going to be all season. But now what can he do with that? Can he be the guy that's 30-8? Can he be that dude? Or is he going to go be a 20-6, 20-4 type of guy? That's a big question. So a lot of questions there with Jaylen, but I'm excited to watch him still. I still think Boston's going to be a very intriguing team. If you guys watched my preview, our preview last week, you know that. But yeah, give me Jaylen as my third player to watch. So Luka, Cade, and Jaylen.
I love Cade Cunningham in this new role. I mean, he was almost first team All NBA last year. Like he was right on that cusp. He could have made a case this year. Maybe he makes that push for it. I think he's going to be. I'm excited to see how it is with Detroit mixing things up a little bit. Like Malik Beasley last year was second in 3-pointers by 1 up until the last game of the season. So you won't have quite that same outside threat, but are you still able to, I want to see how Cade works there. Obviously, skinny Luka. Everything that's about Deandre Ayton and the Lakers, skinny Luka applies. And then, of course, we can't forget about Jaylen Brown now that he is captain now, as you mentioned. I'm curious to see, like, everything's going to run through. It's not just Jason's gone. There's also no more Horford. There's no more Kristaps. There's no more Joel. That's a Jaylen Brown. You are leading the way for us. And in that Eastern Conference, I'm curious to see if he's able to turn it on like we saw with early finals. Jaylen Brown, those first few games where he really took over and cemented himself as MVP of that series. Do we see that carry on for a full season? Does he maybe say, like, you know what, I got to slack off on defense a little bit because I got to carry more offensively? Or does he keep that same two-way intensity while so much more is on the offense? I'm excited to see how he is in this new role. And who knows, if he's able to carry that intensity, we might see like a 28-8-6 type of guy, MVP candidate if he gets him in that upper seed. Like he's going to be making a name for himself, that's for sure, even more so than he already is. He's already cemented in history books, but it's going to be very interesting if he's able to carry this team without Tatum there, like we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys saw my preview, it'd be a little better than what my preview was for him, but not much better. And he's in MVP conversation. I had him fourth, spoiler alert. But yeah, and I think if they can do that or better in the East, I think that's going to be like Jaylen's coming out party. And look, we've had a great moments from Jaylen, but we've not had sustained quality seasons from Jaylen. I think that's what the big next step is. He's no longer Robin. You're not Red Hood anymore. You need to go be Batman. Batman's gone. You need to go be Batman now. So can you do it? We'll see.
Like we've seen him make second team All NBA, but he's still in that, I don't want to say co-star role because it sounds like I'm diminishing him, but with that other star that ended up on first team All NBA. Now out that there, it's, oh, what's he going to do now? I don't want to say Kobe and Shaq because that's the cliche one, but you saw what happened when Shaq left. Kobe was able to turn into Kobe freaking Bryant, even more so than he already was. So I'm curious to see if that same thing kind of happens for Jaylen Brown, and if that makes things very interesting going forward when Tatum gets back at that point. It's like there's a lot of interest in there, but at the same time, all that matters for them is winning and making it happen. But I'm very curious to see how he fits into that role for sure, because I think he's got.
It reminds me of the old T-Mac Vince Carter relationship, Jaylen and Jason do. Like that's how that reminds me of. Like we know Jason is the guy. But T-Mac should be no slouch either. When I'm talking Toronto, this is before the Magic days for T-Mac. Let's not get carried away, or the Rockets days for T-Mac for those that are even younger. But this is like early Raptors days where you didn't know which one was going to go off for 30 in one night. And that's kind of what I felt with Jaylen and Jason. And so now it's Jaylen's turn to go be like, all right, now you're going to be T-Mac by himself in Orlando. Or now you're going to be T-Mac by himself in Houston. Take your pick. You got to be one of them. You can't be Sam Cassell. Like, you need to be great.
Absolutely. And I have no doubt he's going to be able to do it. And it's going to be an exciting watch, that is for sure. And it's going to be we're going to get a real gauge of Joe Mazzulla as the head coach now, too. They don't have the best roster top to bottom, arguably. He's done a good job as a coach, not taking anything from him. But now we're going to see him, like when Eric Spoelstra got to coach without the quote unquote Heatles around. We got to see, he is built differently. He did great things with great players. Now we're going to see him do great things with, I'm going to say less great players, but less notoriable players, and one guy leading the way. But be sure to let us know down below who you all think are players you're excited to watch this season, some that stand out, some that maybe we didn't mention that you think should also get a note as well. But that's going to wrap up our main event here, which will lead us into crunch time. And for the crunch time part of our show, we're going to do a short little preview, and that is just me saying this weekend we got another big UFC fight card, UFC 321 heavyweight championship on the line. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. I'm going to be doing a full predictions breakdown of the main card and some betting tips on Fridays. We always do. So you will definitely want to check those ones out. It's very interesting because if Tom Aspinall gets that win, it's his first true title defense since he was interim champion who defended an interim championship while that division was a chaotic pile of crap for way too long as it was trying to get sorted out. But if he does get by Cyril Gane, who's tricky, he's interesting, the way he moves, the way he's awkward, him and Tom just match up weirdly. If Tom takes it to the trenches, he'll walk away comfortably in a couple of minutes. The question is, it's a very interesting matchup. I'm going to talk more about it on the preview coming up for sure, but that's a very big, fun fight. Be sure to tune in Friday for the betting breakdown, the bets, predictions, and breakdown. We're going to have everything you need for the main card. We do have a strong winning record so far on the season at just under 70% on pay-per-view bets. So I'm not saying you're going to win a full parlay. We won't be rude like that, but we are 25 out of 30 on the season for the pay-per-view main card. So I'm saying at least one of them will hit more often than not.
Bet individually, and then you can parlay it.
Bet each leg of the parlay individually, and we're doing pretty well. We've had it at 5-0. We've had, as is the nature, we've had a 4. We've had a 2-3 at some point, but I don't think we've had a 1-4. We are there. We've at least gotten 2 every single time, but be sure to check it out for that one. I just jinxed all of it. None of that's going to happen this week, but we do have some very
0-5 prediction coming up right here. Sorry,
0-5 well on the way. Sorry, Tom Aspinall and whoever I end up picking, but be sure to check that one out as well. Keep an eye on that for our YouTube page. But we appreciate y'all so much for joining us here on this Wednesday evening to talk about sports, or if it's later on in the week when you are able to catch us on one of your favorite platforms. And we will see you all again next week.